Welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show. I have done almost 2,000 interviews on my program with all different types of healers who provide a multisensory and non-Western pedagogy in their practices. Their stories help to complete that circle of artistic authenticity which we all strive for. The cats I interview have been making a living on the bandstand for the last half century. They have dealt with good leadership and bad. They have come to different understandings of what love is. They have overcome a lot of adversity in their lives, and they are adept at playing all musics. For me, nowadays, labels and names have really gotten in the way of our ability to create communal, spiritual music. One thing I've realized and been humbled by is the opportunity that has been given to me to gain knowledge and wisdom from the musicians, whose tales I share with people in all parts of the world via the internet. Call it mass distance education, if you will. I have the opportunity to talk with individuals who have been on this earth longer than myself, have experienced societal shifts, and have invented and reinvented themselves in different musical settings in different parts of the country. As a rogue journalist, I'm searching for that fine line of connection from mind to body to soul. That's where the spirit emerges and what my whole show is about: how to create spiritual music. Jorge Calderon, an honor to welcome you to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Thank you, Jay.
Can you talk about if you ever had the experience or the opportunity to witness religious drumming when you lived on the East Coast? People would refer to it as like Santeria, but it's actually like, that's a Latin term. I'm just curious about descarga, the first time you experienced spiritual discharge through drums.
Well, I can, I was born in Puerto Rico, and the music I learned, I heard as a child growing up, and going to, when you're born in a Latin island like that, like Puerto Rico or Cuba, you dance. You
Absolutely.
Go, as a kid, you go to a birthday party of your friend at their house, and they play the music, and all the kids get up and dance. So it's a dance culture, it's a music culture. You listen to that music. As I grew up, I listened to all those, and also watched them on TV, because they used to come to these shows on TV from Cuba, from Mexico, from Brazil, and Puerto Rican artists too. So it was all around me, that kind of music. When Descarga came to be like a thing that they were doing, I heard all those Cuban Descarga records and Puerto Rican ones and everything. When I moved to New York, I was already playing in a band, and we used to do like our mix of R&B meets, it was like R&B. We did a lot of Motown stuff. I used to love Motown because Motown used congas, and it was influenced by Latin kind of thing. Some of those records have that kind of beat, like a cha-cha beat, like Marvin Gaye, Hitchhike, it's a total cha-cha-cha, and things like that. And I was like we were going, oh yeah, we like that. So we used to do all that stuff in that band, plus some originals. But coming from where I come from, it always had this feel that I had translated into what I loved about R&B and rock and roll, which to this day is what I do. Now, as far as Santeria stuff, I really actually got more into it here in LA, because as I was playing in maybe 70, I think around 79, 78, actually 79, I started playing in between some road gigs that I was doing with a couple of folks. I was doing this gig with Miguel Cruz and Skins, and he was Cuban, and he had a whole Cuban band that was all percussion, congas, timbales, bongos, flute, and a 12-string guitar, which sounded like a tres or something. And we did all kinds of Afro-Cuban music, and we used to even go to schools and have a seminar for kids about Cuban music. And So we did that, and some nights, you know, he says, you know, I want to do this other gig with my friend Luis, and it was like Luis Conte at the time,
Hmm.
who's become a great percussion. Always was a great percussionist. But he's become a great session and road guy for a lot of big names. Anyway, so and he's a dear friend of mine. So then we would do these couple of gigs like that it was all Santeria beats and religious kind of thing that I did not understand the religious aspect because I'm not really into religion and church and all that. I'm just more of a spiritual kind of guy.
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
Right,
I dig,
you know what
man.
I mean? Like
Yeah.
nature, spirituality, you know, the power of all that, but not like going to church and giving money to people that do crazy stuff.
I'm the same. No, first of all, there's no reason to give money to people that corrupt things. To me, did you just going back for a minute?
Yep.
Were you hip? Did you get a chance to see Mongo or Willie Bobo? I'm just trying to figure out, like, being in New York. I mean, Ray Mantia's from that part of the world. Rest in peace. And Eddie Gomez. All those guys. It was all dance music. But yet then
I know
there were other cats, and I know you're not. We've been through this. You're not like I mean, you do play percussion, but you're not a trap drummer. But I mean, there were cats that would see Pablo Landrum or these guys like, just like going for hours. And the point I'm bringing up is exactly what is the idea of, the healing component of the rhythm and how spiritual it is. And like, if that was something, because obviously birthday parties and the music's part of the culture, but did you recognize early on that rhythm could heal you as well?
Oh yeah, of course. Music in itself it's a spiritual thing and it's a healing thing. Of any kind of music, as long as it's good. Bad music won't do that.
That's right, dude. That is right.
Good music, even if it's Frank Sinatra singing a perfect recording of his, you'll go. Even if you're not into it, something will click into you, saying, "Okay, this is good.
Right.
This is perfection at its best." Or it can be a Latin thing. It can be a rock and roll thing. It could be the Beatles singing one of their really good songs. So, so I see it like that now. Getting back to what you were saying, I never went to see somebody. I used to, like I said, when I was a kid in Puerto Rico, I used to see them on TV, and I saw Ismael Rivera, who used to be like the greatest singer of them all.
Mm-hmm.
In Spanish music, what they later on called salsa, but it was just called whatever it was.
There was no name. There was no labels. Yeah, I did.
It was Latin music. It was just Latin music.
Sure.
But anyway, I used to see them on TV, and I saw them at the park playing live, and so I grew up with that stuff. And but when I came to New York, I was more into rock. Listen, I came to New York in the middle of '67, which was the summer of love, man.
Wow, man, dude, that is a heavy time.
It was like Sly and the Family Stone and the Byrds and everything was Hendrix. And so, Procol Harum.
All the British, it's insane.
Exactly.
Insane.
Traffic, Staple Singers, when they were just like them standing up with just their dad playing guitar. It was just amazing. So I was more into that than going to see. But I always listened at home. I had records, so I would listen to my records of Latin music. But to see people, I did that way later on.
Sure. When can you talk a little bit about your journey? Like what was the catalyst for you to come to the States? And I guess maybe to, sort of add on that, like, when did the music basically find you, and were you determined to basically make a career in music, and that's why you came to the States?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I always loved listening to music. When I was a kid, let's say 8 years old, 9 years old, that's when I mean, I was listening to all that Latin music at home, and I had records of this Ismael Rivera and Cortijo, the band, and everything. You know, I used to play them all the time. But at the same time, I got hip to rock and roll, and I'm talking about. I don't want to date myself, but it was Little Richard, it was Elvis Presley, it was actually the guy that really freaked me out was.
It was like Fats Domino or something.
Yeah, Fats Domino.
Fats Domino, yeah.
Little Richard, but Bebop Balula. What was his name?
Whoa, I'm not hip to that cat.
Anyway,
you're not dating yourself, dude. You just lived through the best time in music, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine's brother was going to school in the States, and then he came back with these records, and we were just playing at home. We were younger than him. And so he left these 45s, and we played that day. We played Lucille by Little Richard and Bebop Balula by Gene Vincent. That was his name.
Well, Gene Vincent. I've seen that name.
Right.
Okay.
So Bebop Balula. For some reason, I dug that even more than Elvis Presley. For some reason, he nailed it so well in that record. It was just the thing. So we played it one after the other, just those two records all day. Like, it was just from outer space to me. It was like, oh my God, listen to this stuff. So I got enamored by rock and roll, rhythm and blues, Fats Domino, Little Richard, Elvis, all the groups that were happening back in '56. And, Bill Haley, of course, had the big hit with Rock Around the Clock and all that stuff. So as a kid, I found myself going to the record store and listening to the booths. They used to have booths, and you could listen to it or buy a record. I remember my first record was a 78 of Long Tall Sally.
This is fantastic. You had the Victrola you were playing it on?
Exactly.
Yeah, I love this
So
stuff.
I would play my stuff and really loud in my room, and my father used to get mad at me. Turn it down. It sounds like a dog fight in there. A dog fight? You kidding me?
Dude, this is the most visceral, burning thing ever, man.
Yeah. So as soon as I, got older in school and stuff, and friends, met some friends that were already starting to play something. So I got this drummer, friend of mine, and got together with him, and he said, "Hey man, I know this guy that plays sax, you want to." So I already was noodling on the guitar. I really wanted to learn guitar, and I had learned some chords on my own. And there was this great guitarist in Puerto Rico that knew all the bossa nova stuff and rock and roll and all that stuff. Everything. He knew everything. So I used to go to his house, and he would say, "Oh man, let me show you this." And he would show me, like playing in front of me, not really telling me do this, do that.
Absolutely, just playing it. I dig it.
I just look at him and I said, "Oh yeah, I remember how he put his fingers." And so I learned kind of like that. Then I started, and what happened to me was that in bands I started playing a guitar, but we need a bass, and we didn't have a bass because there was another guitar player. So I would play the bass line on the guitar. Mm. So I that's how I got hip to, because I loved the sound of the bass, especially in jukeboxes. You listen to the music in the old jukeboxes, and the bass was so clear and beautiful. And because it was playing 45 records in this box, right? So I ended up playing both, That's why I ended up playing guitar and bass in different bands. I would be in a band later on, and we would lose a guitar player, and we couldn't find a guitar player. Then I would play guitar. Or if we lost a bass player, we couldn't find a bass player, then I would go to bass. It was easier to get a guitar player, So I would change back and forth. And to this day, that's what I do on my records. I play.
That is fair. I mean, that is just it. I mean, I was watching, well, we can get into this later, but I mean, it's just, it's just funny, like cats like Luis Bonfa, were you hip to him? Like, because,
yes.
I mean, I was just transcribing this interview with John Tropez, this great studio guitar player, and he's like, I transcribed, Bonfa did a solo guitar album, and he did that tune Tenderly, and it was the first time that Tropez had heard someone playing chords and bass line together, and that actually he copied that song and he got into Berkeley because of that. So I mean, like, there were some cats that were. Was he one of those cats that was influential to you on records?
Of course, like I said, we listened to a lot of Brazilian stuff.
Right.
And my friend, this older guy that he was a fantastic guitar player. He knew all that stuff too, all the Brazilian stuff. And Luis Monfá, he wrote such beautiful music. He wrote Manhã de Carnaval, that song. It's the theme song from Black Orpheus.
Absolutely.
And he wrote a lot of the music in Black Orpheus, and stuff like that. And he was like, I mean, he was all those guys, him and Joe Beam and all that. But he was like the master of that stuff. And all the other guys, they all kind of learned from each other down there in Brazil. The music was enchanting to me. I mean, it was just beautiful music.
Bolicete too, maybe. Could you talk about your journey to the States? Did your whole family go there?
No. It was no. I was just the only rebel in the house.
Oh boy, they're like, where's he? What's this guy gonna be? You were too big for Puerto Rico, man. Yeah.
Well, it got that way.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say this, but it was I started a band when I started. We ended up with this little band, and we only played instrumentals because nobody could sing. So we could play instrument. We had a saxophone. We played tequila. We had then we found this other guitar player. We used to call him Pinky because he had a pink Stratocaster. He was a total ace, man. He knew all the venture stuff, stuff. I mean, all that intricate stuff he knew it. So we ended up playing all the venture stuff and any instrumental that we could ever find, Wipeout and all that stuff. So we were that kind of band. And because we played so much ventures, we called ourselves the Vultures. We were the fucking Vultures. So I'm sorry.
That's fine, man. I love it.
So from then I started singing. I remember that we were doing a gig, and there was this doo-wop ballad that I forget which one it was, but I loved that song and I wanted to sing it. And one night I said, let's do this song. I was playing guitar and I had a bass player. He had a huge pompadour, man. It was amazing. I mean, that guy was like, he took care of it like if it was a baby. when a bus would pass by, he would turn his head so that the wind wouldn't blow.
Right, no, he's protecting it. I love it, dude.
That kind of guy. Yeah. But he was a great bass player. So we did the song, and I sang, and I said, you know what? I think I could sing, man. I started singing, from then on. So anyway, years went by, and we developed into this bigger band where I did a lot of singing, and I used to do, 99 and a half, and, all these Wilson Pickett things, and I did some Beatles stuff and Slow Down, and, well, that's not a Beatles song, but anyway, some songs. Mm. And so we became a band. It was called The Living End. So we were gigging. We had done a lot of gigs around the San Juan area, and believe it or not, there was a kind of like a rock and roll thing going down in San Juan and Puerto Rico. There were the Challengers. There were this other band called I forget the names.
You mean you're talking about guys that actually like the guys that wound up attracting, making records in the States eventually?
No, unfortunately, they all it was a craze that went on.
Right.
We were so we would just gig together and stuff, and everybody was jealous of each other.
So it was this is 65, 66 kind of range?
Yeah, maybe around 64, 65. Yeah, right. Around when the Beatles came.
Exactly.
Out. In the States.
So it was just a lot of people, very sort of there was a lot of petty drama.
One guy played one band played a lot of Beatles, which was I'm not a fan of Beatle bands, that play a lot of Beatles because the Beatles had their own synergy and then nobody can sound like them. if you don't have a drummer that plays like Ringo, you're not going to.
I mean, come on. I mean, also, I just want to say something, Jorge. When I listen, what's so beautiful about what you said is like, forget about comping the Beatles. It's like everybody is influenced by them, and actually, I can hear in your own original tunes that you were influenced by them, but you're not trying to sound like them.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
And also, and I mean, there was a lot of great, and a lot of people just like, kneel at the altar, the altar of the Beatles. It's like, oh my God, dude, did you know that there were other drummers that were amazing? That guy, I forget his name right now, but the guy that played with Little Richard was like a human freight train.
Absolutely, dude.
Like a total, like, I mean, he so. Yes, Ringo is in a clan of great drummers, but he wasn't the guy. It was not like, there was Ringo and then there were other people. No, but so anyway, we all these bands had different things. We had a band that played a lot of R&B with the rock and roll and stuff more than the other ones. So. And we had a female singer that played congas and the band, and we traded vocals, and so we had something going.
Wow!
The bands didn't have.
Wow!
And we had a great organ player.
Loving this.
Who actually let me backtrack. We were gigging a lot. We did a battle of the bands one time. It was a big deal at the stadium, and we won. So it was like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Are we going to keep doing this here? I mean, we got to get out of here because there's nothing else we can do. So we got a gig in St. Thomas, which is the island, down to the east of Puerto Rico. And we played at this place called Duffy's, which was where the Mamas and the Papas had formed. They had the Creaky's Alley or something. They wrote the song about this alley where Duffy's is, and they had been there and done that, and then gone back to California. So we played there. We had a gig for like a couple of months, and then one day in early '67. Our road manager guy, he's a crazy guy, a really warm-hearted guy. He was a hustler. I mean, he said, "Man, I think I got us a gig in New York."
Oh man, that is.
We got us a gig in New York at the Rolling Stone discotheque on the East Side, 46th or 47th Street, something.
God,
on the East Side, 3rd and something, and so. And we said, really? He said, yeah, man, it's for real, man. We can go. And, so we packed up our stuff, took an airplane, and just went to New York, man, and started gigging, like a day or two later, like 5 sets a night, 5 half-hour sets a night.
Hold on, I just want to stop for a second. No contracts, only just based on this wild-hearted man, this manager you had.
He got the gig with the club guy. I don't know what the connection was.
So insane. And so and it was real though. You got in there and boom.
We got it. We played there for months.
Unbelievable.
Oh yeah, for months. And we were living at a hotel.
The Rolling Stone discotheque, man.
Yeah, so Rolling Stone did two cages on the sides of the stage with go-go girls.
Absolutely. That was the time period. That was it, man. Kind of Holy cow.
Oh, yeah. And they loved us because we played Motown and we played Temptations and then Get Ready and all that stuff that was going on. And
unbelievable.
And also did a lot of stuff. And we had congas and, it was a thing. And we had a great drummer. And so we were happening. So we stayed in New York. Even after we stopped working at the Rolling Stone discotheque, we worked other places like it on Dean's and this other places. We started gigging a lot around New York in clubs that you could go up and do your thing or trade sets with another band. I remember us playing with the Elephant's Memory. That's way before they joined up with Leonard. Before they met together.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. And it was funny because we were rhythmic and tight and doing our thing, and they were like so loose and like Grateful Deadish kind of like so loose. I was going, dude, I get these guys getting gigs, and I was like really not understanding. And then later on, they met up with Leonard. I went, oh my God, what's the world coming to?
Did you? I want to ask you about one club. Let me ask you about one club. Were you hip to the salsa club, the Corso?
Mm-mm. No, man.
Okay, so anyway, so
I knew about the one on 52nd Street. What was it?
The Palladium.
It was Palladium.
I was gonna say in those because Charles Neville from the Neville Brothers was in a band around that time. They were playing with Girls in Cages, which is just so surreal at this point. But were you able to sneak it? I mean, were you even like getting off on original tunes at that point? Were you able to sneak one in during the set, or were you just into like the guys were like, do not play, just play with the cats, what the fans know and what they want to hear?
We snuck a few.
You snuck a few in
because they were in that style of R&B-ish rock and roll kind of thing. And then it started. It was 67, 68. The people we started. Everybody was dealing with jamming, like making a song longer than it should be.
No, I dig, man. I dig.
Everybody's like some kind of drug, Like you're jamming and being psychedelic.
Yeah, LSD. Just leave the head of the tune and blow for 20 minutes. Yeah.
I know, and I hated it.
You didn't like it. You didn't dig it. Okay.
Okay, some songs we can do that, but let's not do it in every song.
That's right. Well, no, but also you came from. You are you're a bass player. It wasn't like you were trying to be someone who's going to stretch out and play as many bars as they wanted. I can't even imagine what it must have been like, because even the bands that eventually became known for that, their fans let them suck for a long time before they actually got it together, like the Dead,
Yeah, I mean, listen, I on bass is cool because no matter how long the jam is, the bass is much more fun to just keep, digging in, and coming up with cool things to do on every section that comes up again. But on guitar, you're just doing that rhythm that after a while, dude, let's go to the next song because, so I was a guitar player at that point in the band. I had been a bass player before, but now we had a different bass player and I was on guitar again.
Were you doing any kind of leads, or was it you were strictly rhythm?
I wasn't a noodler.
No, because what I'm saying, Jorge, is that you can tell a great story in 50 seconds. You don't have to. You don't have to be some John McLaughlin.
That's what I do.
Yeah, exactly.
I just play, what the song needs as a lead part or a lead section, and I know how to do that. But if you give me, a whole bunch of bars and bars, I'll play something interesting, and then I'll go to a more rhythmic thing because I don't want to be.
I love it, dude. I freaking love it, dude. Say what you need to say and get out.
Yeah. Little thing, give me a break.
I dig.
So, yeah. So I do that, and I do it on my records too. When I play guitar and I play the lead section myself, I just play like the Beatles used to do that. I mean, either McCartney or Harrison would come up with a great lead, and they would do it, and it's what the song needed, and it sounded great, and they would leave it.
Right, exactly. It was just it's just funny. Well, we can get into it later, but I love, to me, like just sort of saying what you need to say, then blending back into the tune. There's nothing more scintillating than that, as opposed to, and again, I like some of the blowing, if you're not repeating ideas and stuff, but for the most, I just like that conversational thing, and I think that that's what you were about.
Well, I'll tell you, I grew up with the records and the top 10 at the time that I was a kid and stuff, where the records were concise, and even on a 2.5 minute song, there would be the instrumental part would be like in your face, exactly what the song needed, and then back to the song.
Exactly.
Even Chuck Berry records. I mean, Chuck Berry was the king of that. He would give you, some part here, and then he would keep, with all those wordy, beautiful, wordy, funny things that he would used to talk about, and then do a couple of lead again, a couple of lead parts, and R&B records too. So, but also there's something to be said when you can stretch a song. I mean, I ended up years later here in LA playing bass with David Lindley.
I saw the videos last night, man. Lindley, by the way, I'm sorry to cut you off. I don't know if you know this, but he's in the hospital right now.
I know.
I just want to say I've done 4 interviews with that man, and I was watching these videos last night, and it was so beautiful because it was like you guys were having a ball, and the music was burning, and it wasn't like it wasn't forced, it wasn't contrived. So in that sense, it was beautiful.
Yeah, it was a great band, a great combination.
Unreal.
A funny story about that when because I had worked on his Blue album, that for Radio X album.
Yep.
I came in late, but he pulled me in to write a song with him, and we wrote a song called Rayo X. So, and I sang backgrounds on it and stuff, and that's how I came into the circle. And Jackson, when the thing was finished, Jackson Brown, who was producing it, called me up one day. He says, would you like to try for Lindley's band? He's putting together a band, and he needs a guitar player. And I said, sure. So I went there, and I brought my guitar, and we started playing. He was playing a lot of reggae stuff. So reggae without a bass, and he had a great drummer, Ian Wallace. So reggae without a bass is like
it's bizarre. I can't even
imagine. So so at some point we jammed and everything because I wanted to, to see what I could do and let him hear it. But I said, Lindley, something? I have a bass in the trunk of my car. Maybe I can bring it in. We can jam some of this reggae. So I said, oh yeah, sure. So I went and got my bass and I plugged it in and we started playing bass. And I swear to you, man, not even less than a minute into this song and group that we were playing, and he stopped everybody and he got in my face and pointed at me and said, "You're the bass player."
Dude, that is so beautiful. That's why I do my show, man. These are the greatest stories in the world, man.
It's true, man. So that it became the bass player. So I we had a great band. We got a rhythm guitar player.
Smoking band, dude. The guy Larson or something. I forget the guy.
Bernie Larson. Yeah, he lives up in Ojai.
I just, dude. Honestly, man, that band. I was watching the videos, and there's a lot of video content on YouTube, and you guys are smoking, and you're just playing. You're not getting too complex on the bass, but it's just grooving, man. It's just so hot.
Just keeping it together in the groove. I mean, me and Ian Wallace, and then later on with Wilfredo Reyes. But
let me ask you a question. When you going back to, you guys are playing around New York. You're singing for your supper. Did you? I just want to get this on the table here for history's sake. Did you venture into radio registry or get into the studios in New York at all for anything? It doesn't matter what it was. Did you consider trying to get into that studio scene?
Yes, not as a session guy, but a couple of people were interested in recording us. And we had meetings with the Tokens. These guys, the famous Tokens.
Absolutely,
guys that were producing people, and nothing came out of that. Then Ellie Greenwich wanted to give us a song, and we actually maybe have done that, recorded that. I really don't remember.
Was it like a demo or something? But I'm just saying, nothing was anything
demo,
pressed.
Whatever songs, it was kind of like a Burt Bacharach song in a way.
Wow.
But nothing came out of that. But then this guy, Shadow Morton, who had done the Shangri-Las, Leader of the Pack and all that stuff. He was like the East Coast Phil Spector kind of dude.
Yeah.
he's a weirdo with a hat and stuff. But he was very, very talented. He was very, very talented.
Well, he knew. So he was into you guys.
Yeah, he dug it, especially because we had the singer, a female conga player.
Of course,
singer,
yeah.
So we ended up going to Long Island, to Hempstead, where he used to record at this place, and recording some stuff with him. So we started recording, and it was leading up into an album, and then he disappeared. And it's, where is he? Oh man, he does that. He just goes away and can't find him. What? To me now, as an older man and everything, I know there's something must have turned him off about the band or something, saying, "Oh, these guys are a bunch of losers. I'm going home," because we ended up recording the album with this second engineer or something, and it is what it is. But
I'm sorry. What's what's that album actually got pressed and is out? What's the name of it? You have...
Well, we were called The Living End, but we couldn't use The Living End once we came to the States. In Puerto Rico, like I said, we were famous because we were the best band, blah, 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 and they used to call us Living End.
Sure.
Right? We were The Living End, but everybody, The Living End, everybody else would call us that. When we came to New York, we couldn't use the name because there was another band with that name that already had a record, that already had a legal use of the name, whatever. So we had to change it. And I never kind of liked it. But the band became Space.
Oh my God, dude! Wait, hold on. And what, dude? I'm going to find that record immediately.
Please
dude,
don't.
This is So wait, no, I know you didn't like
never said anything.
No, Jorge, because you know what it is. I know. This is important only because the All Music Guide, which is not the Holy Grail, it says your first studio date was. I want to get into this deeply, but Lambert and Nuttycombe, but I know that wasn't your first time in the studio. So Space was the band.
Yeah, that was in New York. We recorded in Long Island. Finished that record that we started with by Shouter Morton. Actually, we had to re-record the songs we had done with him because he took off and he didn't want anything that had his. I don't know, dude. It was weird. So we had to re-record the songs and do the whole album with this other guy. I just hated it. I was going, "Oh, this smells weird to me." But the record came out. It is what it is. It was very, I don't know. We were young.
It's the kind of music. I'll go to my grave with that. I'll go to my grave with that record, dude. Was it all original tunes, pretty much?
A lot of them were. I think we did some cover or something.
And then, so basically, I also were you? Granted, you were doing, you had a certain bag that your band was doing, but at that time, did you know, were you hip to, Danny Korchmar and James Taylor, David Clayton Thomas, that scene that was going on? Were you hip to them at all or no?
Well, I knew Clayton Thomas from New York when he had the hits with
Blood, Sweat, and Tears, yeah.
Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Danny I met here in L.A. I was living in Laurel Canyon, and my front door in the house, and front door was open, and this beautiful, big, white Alaskan kind of dog, long-haired, came in, and he was really friendly, and we're petting him, and I said, "Oh man, look at this beautiful dog!" And then in comes Danny. "Oh man, oh my God, there he is!" And it was his dog.
What, dude? This is because seriously, man. I'm feeling the spirit of the other cat. I don't want to. We're jumping around here, but I love it. Is Smitty Smith? Smitty. Dude, so Smitty, I never met him. Smitty. But I interviewed Eric Mercury, rest in peace, and he went way back with Smitty in Toronto, And Smitty's just
yes.
everywhere, man. Like, and I know Cooch and him might have lived in similar neighborhood in Topanga. I don't even know, man. I just, to
Yeah,
me,
yeah. We lived close together, and Cooch actually did a record with Smitty back then. He
oh,
did some kind of like a thing where he knew Smitty all through the record. He knew Smitty very well. I met Smitty the first day he came from Toronto. Drove with his wife Tish, and she was pregnant with the first kid, and they. I was hanging with a band from Toronto called Bush, and they were great musicians with Donnie Troiano.
whoa. Oh, dude,
Whitey
that is
Glenn,
sick, man.
Whitey Glenn on drums.
Oh,
I mean,
my
and they were
God.
amazing band. I used to hang with them. And they told me, "Hey, man, but tonight we have this friend from Toronto coming down." And that's how I met him. It's fresh.
And
Coming
you're
into
talking
LA.
about he drove down to New York from Toronto.
From Toronto? No, I'm talking to LA.
L.A. He went to. He was.
To LA.
Oh my
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
that's.
And I was at the gig, and he came at some point at that night. He drove off to the parking lot and up to the parking lot, and we met, and everybody was great. And, oh, Smitty, man, and from then on, I knew Smitty, and I started playing with him, and he played with me, and all that stuff. But Smitty was from Norfolk, Virginia, originally.
Really?
I mean, he wasn't Canadian. He just went up there because he was gigging, and he ended up in a band that had a big hit in Canada.
Oh, I documented. I'll look it up right now. But Mercury broke it all. I was just Smitty is everywhere, man. He's ubiquitous. His spirit is everywhere, and I'm just like Jorge. You're right in that group, man. You're right there with Keltner and Smitty. To me, like.
Yeah.
But so
beautiful organ player. There's nobody played organ like Smitty. He was the master, and like in simplicity too. Groove, simplicity, rhythm. You know,
he's just always smiling, man. He's always smiling.
Jimmy Smith area, you know, because a lot of guys do that. As soon as they don't know what to do, they start imitating Jimmy Smith.
Not Smitty though. No, dude, listen. Hold on. But this is so okay. Space comes. You're kind of disgusted by the whole thing. What was the impetus for you to leave New York? It seems kind of common sense, but
oh yeah. What happened was that we did that record. That record came out. It was a small label related to Capitol Records. And Capitol Records was in LA, so I think it was called Hand Records. It had a big hand on the label, palm of the hand.
Dude, I'm going to be finding this thing immediately, dude.
So they said, you know, the manager we had at the time, his name was Jack Riley, also the late Jack Riley, but he ended up being, writing songs with Brian Wilson and stuff, and being part of the Beach Boys scene later on. But Jack was our manager, and he said, "Man, you guys, we have to move to LA because this is what blah 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 blah." So we got all talked into moving to LA, and like all the rock and roll stories, we moved to LA. The band broke up. It's like but I stayed, and a couple of guys in the band stayed, and we started doing gigs as a smaller group of band, like a trio plus a singer. And we started getting it as Rice and Beans, and we used to, and then
that was the name of the band. That was the name of the band.
That's how I met him, because he had just come from New York.
Oh my God.
At the same time, and we were doing a gig in Venice at some club out here in Venice by the beach, and then we went there and said, okay, you're doing a set, and this other band is going to do a set. The name of the band was Twice Nicely, and that was. It was Waddy and his bros from out there.
Oh my God, this is... Wait, you guys were called Rice and Beans?
So it was just like, kind of like Smitty, that I met him just as Waddy had just come into town with all those people and his brother Jimmy. And we met that time, and we've been tight ever since, ever since that day. So... It's just a wonderful story how things have happened to me. The connections that I've made out of like the blue. It's just like, boom, there it is.
It's all spirit, man. I just freaking...
Yeah.
Wait, was the place in Venice called the Comeback Inn, by the way?
No, I think it was called the Beach House.
This is my. First of all, the group that Smitty was in Toronto was called the Soul Searchers. They're the
Yes.
one. They're the ones that had those big hits. It was Eric Mercury and the Soul Searchers, but they had a bunch of big hits. Yeah.
But then they had he ended up with another band that had a humongous hit.
Really?
When I die,
Oh, I did. I got it. Oh yeah, I know that tune. Yeah.
you know, that was a huge hit. I mean, there's a video on YouTube of them doing it live. It's amazing.
Wow.
And you can see Smitty just singing the song. He was the singer, main singer.
Dude,
He wrote the song
Smitty,
with the
dude.
guitar
Freaking
player.
Smitty, man. So the first of all, Rice and Beans as a trio. How did that change the band sonically? I mean, was it? I'm curious about it because I mean, you were playing probably.
It was a trio plus singer, so it was just bass, drums, guitar, and then the Tessie Cohen, the singer, that played congas too. So it was that kind of band, 4 pieces.
Oh my! Wait, Tessie, I know the dude.
I was playing guitar, so we did a whole bunch of stuff, and we just do whatever we could, you know.
Dude, this
But
is
we
making
truly
me
loved
smile
each other.
so much, dude. Go ahead.
Yeah, we loved Waddy and his playing, and you know he's the same guy back then as he is now. He was just like, boom, there he is. That's his style. He could, you know, he was playing that. It freaked us out because he was playing all this stuff, and we're going, man, these guys are great. And what it was, they were playing "I Dig a Pony," and they were doing a lot of that stuff from the Let It Be, "I Dig a Pony," and
Sure.
and just a weird songs that they had learned from a bootleg because the record wasn't out yet. So they were playing this stuff for me. It was the first time I heard it, so I thought it was their songs, their material. So I said, "Hey, man, those songs you got, it's just amazing, man." He says, "Oh man, we just learned all these songs from this bootleg from the Beatles."
You're like, oh man, no wonder they're so good. That's so funny, man.
Yeah, it's funny, man. So, but you know, we've been tight ever since, and Waddy just became better, but not much. I mean, he always played that good. He always was that guy, you know.
Well, I mean, it's also he's another one of those guys. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's just like he says what he needs to say, and then he moves on. He's never overly. There's never too much language going on.
Yeah, it's to the point with the greatest sound you can get, you know, and fat as anything. And Keltner is the same way. I met Keltner in the early '70s, at the Sound City days where I was hanging there trying to do my demos with Keith Olsen.
Well, let's hold on for a second. This is really important. This is really important. So you get out there. First of all, Tessie, what was her last name? What was her last name?
Cohen.
Wow. So were you just sort of, you know, hitting the street and knocking on doors to get? How did you meet Keith? I regret it because Keith.
Yeah, you know, it's another
break it down.
You know, like the natural course of being in the right place at the right time without even wanting it. You know,
exactly.
One of our roadies, Angelo, this guy from Puerto Rico, beautiful guy, and he's still around. He's a wonderful guy. So he was our guy, and he stayed with us for a while here in LA. And so we were living, I think at that time, around the Beechwood Canyon area.
Sure.
And one day he says, "Man, I just met these guys that, you know, one of them has a studio in the valley." And he was saying, man, that we should come and visit and stuff like that, and listen to his studio because he put a brand new board in it and blah blah blah. So it was Keith Olsen, and his partner was Kurt Betcher, who was his friend, was a producer. He had done some stuff with the association and other stuff like that here. So we went to see, and I met Keith. But it was a fluke that he met them by walking down the street and getting into a conversation with them or something.
Again, this is just so random. It's just unbelievable.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a random thing. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Random. So I ended up And then Keith showed me the board and everything in the studio, and he was such a nice guy and such into the music that he said, "Man, I said, "Yeah, I got some songs that I want to demo." And he said, "Well, but you should come and play them to me." So he called me one day and said, "Once can you come today to my house?" He lived in Coldwater Canyon somewhere. I said, "Sure." So I went there with a Stratocaster guitar, no amp, just the guitar.
I did.
I said, "Well, I'll just sit there and I'll strum it really hard and I'll sing my song." So I knock on the door and Keith goes, "Oh, come in, Jorge." And he opens the door. He says, "Hey, man, I hope you don't mind. I have some friends of mine here. Is that okay?" I said, "Sure, it's no problem." So let me introduce you. This is Lindsey Buckingham, and this is Stevie Nicks.
Oh my God!
I'm doing some demos with them, and they were really pleasant. And I said, "Oh, nice to meet you." So I sat in the same couch as them, and I sang my 3 or 4 songs.
Oh my God! This is great. This is freaking
to
great.
Keith in front of them, who I didn't know from Adam.
Right.
So right, but from there on, we became really close and really tight friends because Stevie really dug the songs I was playing, especially this one called Kiss and Run, that she really dug the whole thing.
Well, let me just, I want to be very clear for the record. This is merely my opinion. And for a long time, when I found this record, this City Music record, and I listened to Kiss and Run, I said, I can't believe that this is the hit song, but the one that gets played all the time is Fleetwood Mac's, not this one, not the one that you put on that album, right? I mean, because to me, the original one on this album, Kiss and Run, with you, Waddy, Hoppy Hodges, Weeks, Smitty, and that one is the best version ever.
Well, yeah, that was the song. That was the first one I played that day for Keith because I thought that was my duck tune. I used to call it, "This is the duck tune. This is a radio tune."
Dude, but I mean, I want to be clear though. But first of all, it's the most ridiculous tune in the world, but I just want to be clear. The one that was the one that started to get all that radio play was the one that was cut on Tusk, right? Not the one that came out on City Music, or was it?
I don't know because that it took years and years. I mean, it's funny because both Lindsey and Stevie loved Kiss and Run, and I wish I would have done their version of it, but they never did. What happened was that I was hanging out around Tusk, used to come visit them because we became very good friends. Even with the when they joined Fleetwood Mac, which was later,
right?
Then I became friends with Mick and John and everybody, and Christine. She rests in peace, and
Absolutely.
we all became friends. So I used to come to the studio and crash, and it would be like a party, and so Stevie was saying, "Oh, let's fool around with Kiss and Run," and Christine, "Oh yeah, let's do Kiss and Run. I love that." So that's how that was. It was just fooling. I was singing the lead, but I was just. I mean, we had been drinking or something. I mean, it was just really a jam on my song, and I'm singing it. But Lindsey was there, and I was thinking, well, maybe Lindsey should sing my part. But he was, "Oh, no, let's keep doing it." So that's why it ended up in a box set later on as a extra bonus track. And God knows how it sounds. I think I heard it once and I went, "Oh my God, why did they put this out?" But because it wasn't.
No, but I'm sorry for my own little.
Could have done a good version.
When City Music came out in '75, were you hearing Kiss and Run on the radio? I'm talking about the one on City Music, not the one that was eventually, like you were just talking about. Because to me, like the original one that you put on with, like I said, with Waddy, Hoppy, and Weeks. Was that one the one that because that is an icon. I mean that version of it. I'm like, I feel like I've heard that one.
That came out as a single, a 45 single, mono single. in '74.
Yes.
Warner Brothers put it out before I even finished my album. I recorded 5 songs at Sound City with Keith that made it to the album, and then I recorded the rest of the album with Russ Titleman at the Warner Brothers Studios, Amigo Studios in North Hollywood. So,
you want to talk just a little bit about like
they put out this single
yes
in '74, and then we took a year to finish the rest of the record, and then it came out. So,
but like to me, were there? I mean, this whole album is. I've been listening to it nonstop. First of all, Gadsden made me. What You Want to Hear? I was crying listening to that this morning. Gadsden is on fire. All the faces, man. This album is smoking hot. But do you remember what that feeling was like for you, considering that you basically were driven to pursue a career in authentic, burning music? Like, do you remember hearing that tune on the radio and sort of just being like this? Because at that time,
I never heard it on the radio. It was a shame. It was like it just disappeared into whatever land. It never clicked. I mean, I was thinking, wow, I've heard guys, break into something with lesser tune, catchy songs than this, and they have a career. And here I am with something good, and it never. And then that Song City Music itself, they put it on a best of the year Warner Brothers record where they featured different artists, the Doobie Brothers doing this, and all the Warner Brothers people, and they included me as the opening song doing City Music, but that didn't go anywhere either. So that was a single too. So nothing happened for me, man.
Well, it's happening now, dude. This album is it's my go-to, dude. To me, music has really cumulative results. I just want to go back for a second here. Can we get a little bit before? So Keith called you to his home studio, and that's where you met Lindsay and Stevie. And then
it was in his living room, sitting on a couch.
It's freaking so classic. But then it says in '73 you went in the studio and played percussion on Buckingham Nicks.
Yes, because I guess so. We became friends from that day that I met them.
Right.
And we started hanging out. Oh, you should come to our place. And I went to the place and I hung out. We just sit around, play around, guitars and stuff. And then they said, well, we're doing this album, Buckingham Nicks. And do you know a drummer? Oh, I know what it was. Lindsay had heard the stuff I was doing, like Kiss and Run and other stuff that I was doing with Hoppy Hodges, this drummer, Gary Hodges.
Dude, please tell me, is he still with us, by the way?
I think so, yes.
Jesus, Hoppy, man. Dude, that dude's a sick drummer, man.
Gary Hoppy Hodges.
Gary.
So he still might be in Dallas, actually. So he loved the way Hoppy played. So he said, "Man, do you think you would play with on our record?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." So I called Hoppy, and he hooked up with Lindsay, and he played on the whole Buckingham Nicks album.
Unbelievable, dude.
So it's another day. Lindsay called me and said, "Man, this song needs congas. This little conga part. Do you think you can play it?" And I had never played a conga in my life, but I know kind of like the feel for it because of my upbringing, and I just went there and I just did some simple part on it, and they recorded it, and I didn't think 2 bits about it. I mean, nothing. I don't even remember the song. I don't remember anything. All I know is that I did it.
Talking to one of the most humble cats in the world right now, Jorge. I mean, I can't believe you're telling me you never played congas with the salsa, the Latin bands you were in back in New York and stuff.
No.
Wow.
No. I played bass and stuff like that, but I used to play if there was a breakdown for the drums to do some rhythm part, a little solo of some kind. I would play a cowbell to go with it, or maracas or something like that, but never the congas. I was always afraid of hurting my hands.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, totally.
I said, man, But Luis Conte, my good friend, he tells me, "Oh man, if you hurt your hands, it's that you're not hitting it right." It's like some people think they have to like really hit hard, and you don't. You just have, So he kind of like showed me what is the magic and the secret of the congas.
Yeah, I mean, I know, and I know Luis is
massacre.
I mean, also, like, I mean, there's a reason why Mongo and those guys had their hands all taped up. I mean, I've interviewed Pete Escovedo from the Escovedo brothers. Sometimes you just get too excited, and you bust. You got to bust. You got calluses.
We start banging
Yeah.
it because of rhythm gets inside of you. And
Oh,
you go
forget
crazy,
about it.
But I can't do that. I gotta play guitar.
So, but where does this nutty comb come in, man? I mean, this is
Lambert and Nuttycombe.
Yeah.
Their claim to fame was that they had done a live show in those years, and they were a duo like Simon and Garfunkel.
right.
So, really nice guys. And their claim to fame was that they had done an outdoor concert where they did their set in between Hendrix and Sly Stone. It was like all of a sudden Hendrix finished playing, Lambert and Nuttycombe.
Dude, that's what I loved about. No, dude, it was the same. Dude, the Isle of Wight, man, is that Isle of Wight festival. Tiny Tim came on, and who followed him out was Miles Davis Quintet. All right, it was just insane how great that to me is the magic of it, man.
Well, those were the days
Yeah.
that radio wasn't prejudiced like that. There was everybody.
Exactly.
You would have Jackie Wilson with a song, and really weird stuff like that, and then Lawrence Welk will have an instrumental,
And then Mahavishnu
over
Orchestra
here.
or something. Yeah, it was insane. And you play the whole side of the record too. It was great.
Everybody was in one package. If you see the Tammy Show, when you watch the Tammy Show, they have James Brown, they have the Rolling Stones, they have Jan and Dean. They had, everybody was kind of together.
I love. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what my fantasy is like. This could not possibly have really occurred. But again, Lambert and Nuttycombe in between Sly and Jimmy. There you go.
There you go, man.
Unreal, man.
And they were laughing about it because he said, "Man, the wind was blowing, and we were going, what are we doing here?"
That makes it even more classic. But so then how did you get called for the date, or how did you got to know those cats?
Because of hanging out doing my demos at Sound City with Keith. All of a sudden, Lambert and Nuttycombe are here. They need this, they need that. Just being at Sound
Sure.
City at the beginning of Sound City before it got,
Blown up, yeah.
too crowded.
Yeah.
It was too crowded. At the beginning, it was just Keith and his whims and his people that he was pulling in, and then after that, it became, people started coming to record, which is great. But I could, tell you the truth, I could not watch that documentary that Dave Grohl made out of that. Maybe some other people can, but I couldn't because I knew Sound City. I was there in the beginning. I never thought it was like funky or nothing. It was a great studio. It was comfortable. The people were nice and everything. And then I watched things, and people going, it was just funky and the thing and like rock and rollers complaining about where they're playing, dude. If you,
I completely know what you're saying, and then they
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
Go live the life of Muddy Waters.
Dude, totally, man. I love it.
Yeah, playing wherever you can, and doing the right stuff that gets into your bones. Try doing
Exactly.
that.
Stop whining about all this other crap.
Exactly.
Jesus, man. It's free. So, I mean, if you could describe the innocence of the early Sound City, for the record, like what was that in your bones? I guess maybe the thing that I get off on is just the idea of was everybody in the same room hitting at the same time? Were there no baffles? To me, like that's the innocence and the beauty of some of that time was just hitting live. No, very sparse overdubs. But I just want you to talk about the essence of that studio, the pure, pure Sound City.
The A room was bigger, and it had a great sound, especially for drums and stuff. And the control room was big with a big couch, and it's just, I remember it being, the Fleetwood Mac, the first album they made with Keith Olsen was done there, and everybody was happy. Nobody was complaining about anything. It was just a comfortable studio with a great drum sound, and Keith knew what he was doing, and he was a wonderful producer and engineer. And that's what it was. The vibe was great. Baffles, just little ones. Maybe to separate the bass amp from the drums or something like that, but not a big deal. And it was just wonderful. I have really great memories of that place.
And you just feel like over time it got overrun by a bunch of kind of, for lack of a better word, wankers, and then therefore it became...
Well, there were a lot of good groups that went there, but there were some people that were like, oh man, I thought it was going to be great, and I came here, I was just disappointed. And I'm looking at this documentary going, what? Are you kidding me?
Oh man, dude.
I was thrilled to be there every day. I was thrilled. And I met Jim Keltner there, and I met different people. Just wonderful memories.
Well, let me ask you, how can you talk about the first time that you laid eyes on Jim Keltner?
Well, he was just I heard him play, and he was a guy that was approachable and talkative, and we just like, he was a musician, a pure natural born musician and friendly guy, and just like he was playing with Wolfgang Metz, I think.
Dude, my dear Wolfie, man, Wolfgang Meltz, he just passed away, by the way. Rest in peace.
Yeah, he did.
But I did some
he was playing with Gabor Szabo. That's who he was with. He was this Hungarian guitarist.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait, Jorge, wait just a second here. Because I thought... No, I knew very well that those cats, and they were playing with a keyboardist from the association, like Richard Thompson or something. But the thing is, you're telling me that in 70, what year did you come out to California?
I came at the end of '69, October 4th. I came,
and then so you were, and so by the early '70s, Jim was still playing with Gabor at that time.
Yeah, I think by the time I ended up going to Sound City was around 71 or 72.
Sure.
And then we that's when I met. They were recording with Gabor Szabo there, and I met the bass player. And it was funny because he played with a pick, and it was funny because I didn't play with a pick, and I was like, wow, he's playing this stuff with a pick.
Dude, you and Wolfie are like my favorite. I love that you guys are my favorite bass players, man. I freaking love it, dude.
He was amazing. He was
so. I mean, dude, I did a couple of similar to what we're doing. I did some of these legacy interviews with Wolfie, and his family was so touched. And his granddaughters were like, he's had parts of his stomach removed. The guy had overcame cancer multiple times. Just iron came over in a boat in '58 to New York in a steamboat. I mean, dude, hardcore dude, man.
Yeah. So that's how I met Jim. And later on ended up working with Jim. Like I said, I played with David Lindley Radio X and started in '81, at the beginning of '81, and then by '84, I think Jim Keltner called me and he said, Jorge, I was wondering if you would be interested to audition for Ry Cooder, because he just fired his bass player Tim Drummond. And I said, he fired him? Tim Drummond's a great bass player. I said, well, it's just
too many drugs. Yeah.
It'd been a long time.
Yeah.
He said, wow. He said, I don't know if I can follow those footsteps. And he said, no, man, don't worry about it. Come to my house. And so I went to Jimmy's house, and Ry came in, and I had met Ry before at the Warner when I was doing my album. He was doing stuff at the other studio, so we knew each other. And then he he said, "Well, yeah, I just wanted to play a few things, and let's see." And so we play. Let's play something in a rumba style. He played one of those songs that he does, and I played my bass. And okay, that's good. That's good. Let me try this other thing. And he just played two different styles of songs for like less than a minute each. He said, "Yeah, that's good. Okay, I'm going back to the house. Everything's cool." And he left, and I got the gig.
I love this, man. This is making you're making my year already, man. This is
So
going
that's
back.
how I got into the Rice Band, and we did a lot of stuff till the last tour of 1988. We did a lot of stuff together, soundtracks and for movies he was doing, like the Crossroads soundtrack, and
Absolutely.
a lot of other stuff.
Did you there's just one more thing in the early 70s, like I guess this maybe was an Olsen, maybe a Call, but Roger McGuinn, did you sing on one of his albums?
I sang on one song that he wanted a whole bunch of people singing, like a big, not a choir, but a lot of folks singing, women and men singing this one section. And I ended up being one of that bunch. So that's I'm amazed when they say, "Oh, you play with Robert." I wish I would have met him because he wasn't there.
Right. I'm like, this is so.
I actually met him later with Warren, my good friend Warren Zevon. I met him one time with Warren, which was very funny.
Well, no, listen. I want to ask you something, Jorge.
Yeah, I won't go there yet.
No. What I was going to say is we've just been cooking for 72 minutes. Can we do set 2 tomorrow, maybe?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll do high noon Pacific tomorrow. Set 2. We got a lot more to get to, but we're having a ball. I'm having a ball, man.
Me too, man.
Much love to you. I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay, Jay.
All right,
Take
dude.
care.
Be cool. Later.